Alright then guys, welcome to the video, welcome back to the channel. And today, as you can see, the EP3 is jacked up in the air because I'm solving one of the problems that these EP3s have, and that is that the handbrake cables stretch and they become pretty useless. Although I have slightly tweaked the adjustment, which you can do in the interior, it doesn't really hold that well on any incline, which is obviously what you want it to do. So the best option is obviously to replace them. So we're gonna get under the car, as you can see it's all ready to go. Undo all the bolts from the old ones, which, disclaimer, pause this video right now, go and put some sort of WD-40 or whatever penetrant on all of the bolts, which I will show you in this video. Make sure that they are ready, and that's what we've done. It was definitely needed, and that means that it's going to come off really easily for us, but there was a point where I thought two of them were going to shear. If you have already done that, welcome back. I haven't actually watched any videos on how to do this, so hopefully it's pretty straightforward. I'm pretty sure it's going to be. So I'll show you in the interior first. So as you can see, I have exposed the handbrake cable inside the car, and this is what it looks like with the handbrake up. So to get to this point, there's basically two screws, Phillips head, or at least mine are Phillips head, that screw in either side of the center console section here. As you can see, there's a hole there. So there's one on each side. Mine, for some reason, only has one. Not really sure why. And then it clips in to the slidey drawer, and as you can see, these two clips basically locate into these two holes here, so you lift straight up at this point here, and this piece should then become free, and you should be able to slide it forward like that, and that then exposes this area. So this is what it looks like with the handbrake on. So obviously I'm going to drop the handbrake to loosen this off, because we're going to be hooking here and all that kind of stuff, and I think this bracket needs to come off too. But before that, let me show you where these bolts are underneath. This is where the cables come down from the inside of the car. They're along here. So you've got this bolt here, same on the other side, just up here. It then runs this way over the top of the heat shield, which then gets you to here. So there's this bolt just here next to this drain hole. This was one of the sketchy ones, super rusty, so definitely WD-40 for these, because as you can see, this is super crusty. We've got the same on the other side. And then we've got this bolt just here, which is sort of right by the rear arches, just here. And obviously the same on the other side. And then on the back of the heat shield for the brake disc, you then have this bolt just here as well. Those are the four, and obviously it's the same on the other side. So 8 bolts underneath the car in total. So yeah, just make sure you hit these with some WD-40 first. And as you can see here, I haven't gone for genuine Honda ones just because these were half of the price of one genuine Honda cable for both. And I just thought it was worth the gamble to see what these are going to be like. I'm sure it's going to be far better than what I have at the moment. And I suppose worst case, in a few years I have to replace these, then I guess I would have learned my lesson. So I'll leave a link for these down below if you do want to pick these ones up, but I'll also leave a link to the genuine Honda ones if you'd rather get those. So as far as I am aware, everything is a 12mm for this. So definitely 12mm underneath. This is just a bolt here. That is also 12mm. So first off, I'm going to loosen the tension adjuster to obviously release the tension, so this makes it not as difficult to do. It's quite hard to do one-handed whilst filming, so let me undo this and then I'll get back to you. I need to loosen off this as well. I've gone basically flush down, so there's no thread showing for this. And I've also undone the two 12mm bolts here, as you can see, so this is all loose, and I've unhooked one of these already. So you obviously need this as low as possible to be able to twist this, to be able to hook this one out. It's obviously usually in there like that, so you bring it down so you can then feed the cable out from the side, so then it slides out. Try and show you. There you go. The fact that I've just done that one-handed shows how easy that should be. These are fully loose from this side now. I believe I can also take this bracket off. Yep, there you go. So that bit comes off. And yeah, these should now be ready to go back under the car. So I'm now going to undo the bolts under the car, but you don't need to see me do that. You know, it's just taking off 8 12mm bolts. All 4 bolts on this side are undone. This is the new one. So I thought I'd show you the intricacies on the new one whilst the other one's still on the car. So first of all, so this rubber grommet is obviously the weather seal between the inside and the outside of your car. So you got to pop this off, and actually I found out that this part was getting caught under the carpet, so I just had to get a second pair of hands to be able to feed it through, or from the inside to be able to actually allow this bit to drop out underneath the bottom of the car. Then as you can see, these are the 4 bolts I've just undone. And now I'm at the step where this piece now needs unhooking from the back of the caliper. And this retaining clip here, as you can see, needs to come out to be able to unhook it off the caliper. So you just need a flathead screwdriver to pry it out like this. And in theory, it should just come away. See, half done this already. There you go, just like that. And now in theory, we should be able to remove this off the caliper just there. So you need to unhook this obviously off of this bit here, but also once you've taken out that retaining clip there, you then need to spray this bit with WD-40 to be able to then slide this whole piece out towards the front of the car. So this bit now, you see, slides out that hole just like that. And now that cable is ready to pull through and replace with the new one. And just so you are aware, there is a flat, as you can see just there on this thing, which means there's only one way that this thing can go in or out. So just make sure you line that up again. So as you can see, the new one is going in, and we've decided to start at this end, at the caliper end. So that's just hooked in over there. And now it's time to put the retaining clip back in. And then it's just about reinstalling this cable back in the way that the other one has come out. Do you like my glasses? Just so much stuff from the car just falls down that you just way easier to do this. So the cable itself actually runs over the top of the heat shield for the exhaust. So I'm gonna try and somehow figure out how to run that. I guess I'll take this one out first. Yeah, definitely wear safety glasses. So much stuff falling on my face right now. Obviously this would be way easier if you did have a lift. So that's the old one out. And then obviously you just do the reverse with the new one, which is gonna be fun too. Guess that is as far as it needs to go. It's hard to say without actually installing it into the car. Again, I think you're gonna need a second pair of hands to get that piece in. I'm gonna try and feed this rubber bit in as well. Actually, I'm gonna leave that rubber seal until we definitely know it's mounted in the right place. But in theory, this thing should just bolt back in all the OEM spots now. So I'm gonna try and line it up inside the car, I think. Then I can bolt this all in for the final time, because I don't want to bolt this down and then find that I have to adjust it. So let's get inside the car and see what we're dealing with. Well, hey, this is great news. So there is the new cable in, and look, that is pretty much spot on actually. That was kind of fluky. So I might actually hook this in here and obviously do the reverse of getting it out. We have to at least get this one in here, because then we know that it can't come back out if I start mounting things. That was a bit of a pain, but there we go, that's mounted back in there. So now I'm going to head back under the car and start doing up all those bolts. So I'm going to try and get this rubber seal in before anything else, and this I know is going to suck. This was easier to show with my phone, but this rubber piece is now in, and you need some sort of like trim pick tool or something. I've used something as thin as this piece to get this in, and it has to sit in here and create the weather seal. So this piece is in now, and it's now time to bolt everything back in. So finally got in the other side, absolute pain. And as you can see, I now have the old and the new cable for the passenger side, and it is the exact same thing as the other side, apart from the fact you don't have to run it over the heat shield for the exhaust. So I'm going to smash through that, and then I'll catch up with you guys when I guess when I'm attaching everything inside and adjusting the actual handbrake. So it's been a little bit of time, and basically if you're not going to buy the OEM ones, because this is obviously the old OEM one, and you do end up getting the ones I've got, the only downside, I suppose, if you're not on a lift, this bracket, which is the 1 second from, that's obviously the rear caliper. So it's this one here, second in, and this was an absolute nightmare on both sides to get in. With the way that this is jacked up, I think it's been fighting us because of where the rear trailing arm is. Either way, as you can see, that cable is in now, and it's all installed from the outside point of view. So now I'm going to go in the interior and clip it all back into that mechanism, and hopefully then we can just do a little bit of adjustment and we're all good. So what I actually ended up doing to get the grommets in that obviously stopped the water getting to the inside of the car, I ended up unclipping these again because it made it much easier to be able to get those in. Now we're at the point where these are hopefully going to go in here. So I'm going to try and get these in, and I'll catch up with you once they're in. Okay guys, so it's the next day, and what a nightmare this has turned out to be. So it turns out that the caliper on the passenger side, which is not the one I replaced in the most recent video, but did replace not that long ago. I think it's been about 18 months. Well, I've got it right here actually. Basically the mechanism inside the caliper here, so this is, if we're looking at this, this is how, so the handbrake cable goes on here. All of this bit on the outside moves, but there's something going on inside here, which means that the handbrake goes on, and then you take the handbrake off, cable moves, everything, all of that's fine. fine. This moves, but in here doesn't release off the caliper, so it means I had to replace this caliper, which is so annoying because obviously it's only been 18 months, whatever. If you run into this same issue, I do have an entire video where you can watch if you need to replace a caliper. So I'll link that down below in case you need to watch that. Well, this is a brand new refurbished caliper that's gone on. So in theory now we're at the point where we can do the adjustments. So although you obviously only have the one adjustment inside the car, to fully reset everything, you need to push the pistons in on both of the rear calipers on the rear, so they go all the way back in. You then push it down with the foot brake until they seat again. This is obviously all with the adjustment wheel wound right back inside the car. You then start winding that back once you've then seated the pads again, and it's almost like a factory reset kind of thing for getting the adjustment just right. That's where we ran into this issue. So in theory, this has solved it. I don't know yet because I haven't actually tried pumping the pedal or anything, so that's the next step. But just in case you run into this issue whilst winding this piston back, new caliper is basically the only solution, because you can't really get inside here to be able to fix this, or for the amount of time it's going to take, it's easier just to replace the caliper. So now that that other caliper is in, you then want to get to the adjustments point. So this is definitely easier with two people. So if you can just get an extra pair of hands to put a wheel on the back and spin the wheel, and what we've basically been doing is, well, obviously you can see the handbrake's up right now, so we start at the bottom and go up one click at a time until you feel it bite. So as you can see, I've adjusted this all the way up here. For some reason, the caliper that I installed not that long ago doesn't seem to be binding as much, which I guess you can see on this bracket, the fact that this isn't straight. So this is an issue I'm gonna have to look into a little bit more, but you definitely want to be winding back the caliper. That does seem to do some sort of reset. So I originally started with this back down here again and adjusted it up until it started biting. And there we go, guys. Car is fully back on the ground and everything is bolted up. So it turns out I probably didn't actually need to change these cables, as that caliper was probably my issue all along. I would definitely start by having a look and checking that your calipers do actually retract back. I mean, obviously I know these cars are super well known for this being an issue, so it could be just a peace of mind thing as well. At least I now know that they are done. Yeah, just one of those, I suppose. Very annoying I've had to buy another caliper, but hopefully this video has been useful for you. Like I said, I'll leave a link down below to these cables as well as the genuine Honda ones, just so you can choose which way you want to go. I would say that you'll probably save some time by going with a genuine Honda, just because of the brackets and how easy they'll be to mount in under the car, but it's up to you if you want to save all that money or not. I guess also we'll see moving forward whether these end up lasting and all that kind of stuff as well, so stay tuned for future updates as well, just in case. That's going to do it for this one, guys. Hopefully you've enjoyed this one. Hopefully it's been useful for you. Comment down below if you've had to tackle this job or if this video has been useful. Don't forget to subscribe. Plenty more content on this car, my S2000, and some more track car content coming soon as well. Don't forget to like this one, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.